Y'all should be used to this by now, but I really have no idea how this video is gonna go, so let's just get into it and find out together. I was trying to come up with video ideas this morning because I don't have a book to review. I'm in the middle of The Help and I'm really enjoying it, and I could kind of just talk about that, but like I haven't finished the book yet, so I'm gonna wait and talk about it when I finish it. But I didn't really know what else to do because mostly what I do is book reviews and the occasional reading vlog, and I don't really have time to do a reading vlog. I'm trying to prep for school and finish packing up my room and like spend all the last minute time with all of my family before I move. So I've been trying to think of like what in the world do I film? And I got a few good ideas from a friend, and I'm gonna try to do those next week because I'm probably still gonna need videos next week. I have no idea if I'm gonna be able to finish The Help anytime soon. But there are a few books that I've been like really thinking about a lot lately and really wanting to reread. And I thought, why not just film about that and talk about those books and why I want to reread them and what I remember from them and like what I'm looking to get out of them if I read them again. Hopefully this ends up being an interesting video. I think it's kind of a cool concept. So yeah, hopefully y'all enjoy it also. The irony is that the one book that I've been like really thinking about rereading, I think I already packed to go to Virginia. So I think it's in Virginia. The title of this video was going to be books I want to reread but I'm not taking to Virginia. And so there's the irony that like the main book I wanted to talk about, I think I already packed. That book is The Last Unicorn. I'll just mention it right here. This is like an honorable mention because I think I did pack it. I don't know where it is if I didn't pack it. And it kind of makes sense. I've been wanting to reread this book for so long and it's so good, and yeah, it makes sense that I would have brought it with me. The Last Unicorn is a fantasy book. It's kind of old. I feel like it's one of the originals of that genre, and I don't know that it's all that well known either. Like I had never heard of it until I picked it up in a thrift store. Apparently there's also a movie made off of it, but I haven't seen that. But the book was so good and so sweet because it's like kind of middle grade, but not really, like written better and still very enjoyable for adults, but without being like full of really heavy content. Like it's kind of just a fun time, and there's so many like interesting characters in it. It follows this unicorn, but then she meets all these different characters throughout it, and I think one of them's a wizard. I don't remember who else. Like I'm remembering little tiny random parts from the book, but I don't remember any like major part of the plot. But I think the main plot is that she's looking for other unicorns. Like she thinks she's the last one and she's going to find other ones, and she meets all of these like found family people along the way. So just like a really sweet and fun read. And the copy that I have has The Last Unicorn, and then I think the second book is called Two Hearts or something like that, but there's like there's a sequel that wasn't originally going to be written but then did get written. And so the copy that I have has those two in it and also a conversation with the author. And it's just so good. It's so fun. So I've been really thinking about that book a lot lately and really wanting to reread it and like refresh myself. But of course I don't have it on hand. So that's my honorable mention. That's kind of what sparked this video, and I don't even have it to show you, but let's just get into the books that I do have to show you that I also want to reread. When I was thinking about this video, the other book that immediately came to mind is Love, Rosie. And this one I want to reread because it's written in such an interesting way. It's a romance. It's very like slow burn, takes its time. It literally takes them like a lifetime to actually figure things out. But it's very interesting because it's all written as like texts or emails or, I mean not text. I think it's a little bit too old to be text messages. It's like in the 90s maybe. I don't remember. But like handwritten letters or emails or private messaging on some chat box. And it's all like written communication. So you're learning the story through just conversations. And I loved it because I really love dialogue. So it's like all dialogue, but without being like in-person dialogue. So sometimes it's between Rosie and I think his name is Alex. Yes, I was right. Wow, I can't believe I remember that. But sometimes it's communication between Rosie and Alex. Sometimes it's Rosie and like her coworker or her friend or her parents or like whatever. It's just you're learning different things that have happened. So it's all after the fact too. Like she'll go out on a date with somebody and then we'll hear about it after the fact because she's messaging her friend about it or whatever. So it's very interesting. I really love the way that it's written. I haven't read another book like this and I would love to, but I also want to reread it because it made me so frustrated just because there is a lot of miscommunication or just unspoken communication, if that makes sense. Like things that should have been said but weren't said. And so now there's miscommunication and I don't love that trope. It really frustrates me. And then just like morally, I didn't love the ending. How things ended up wrapping up. I was like, well, it's a happy ending, but it just kind of goes against some like values that I personally have. So I was so frustrated throughout the entire book, and then when things finally wrapped up, I was still frustrated. But I'd kind of like to give it another go and just, I don't know, just take it in again, and maybe having that in mind and knowing that like I'm not going to love the ending, I would still like to just read it and try to enjoy it a little bit more. And I'd also really love to watch the movie, but it's been so many years since I read the book that I'm not going to remember at all if the movie is true to the book or what's happening, and it's just going to like throw me off. So I'd kind of like to read the book again at some point, but I'm not going to be taking this with me. I'm trying to cut down my TBR, my physical TBR, and I decided since I'm not going to be taking all of my books to Virginia, I was going to try to only take books that I have not read. So I have a few in there that I have read before and that I might reread. But for the most part, I only brought books that are on my TBR. So I won't be bringing this one, but I would really like to reread it at some point, and maybe that'll happen next summer because I'm planning to come back to New York for the summer. So maybe I'll get to it then, but this was just one of the other books that's like been on my mind a lot lately and that I would love to reread. For the rest of these, I just glanced at my shelf and saw like what stood out to me and what either I've thought about a lot lately or I don't remember really well, but I remember liking, and so I'd like to reread it and see if like it was really as good as I thought it was, or if I just found that book at the right time. Because sometimes that happens. Sometimes you read a book and it's just like perfect timing and you think it's the best book ever, and then you reread it and think, you know, what was going through my mind? Why did I like this so much? And so there are some books in this pile that I really want to read for that reason and just see if they were as good. But this one doesn't fall into that category. So the next book I'm going to talk about is Untouchable. And this one is a self-published book by an Instagram author that I was kind of friends with, more like acquaintances, I guess. I don't know. But it's very well done. It's a like dystopian found family adventure type novel. And it's part of a series. And so I really want to reread it because I loved it when I first read it and I could not wait for the next couple books to come out. But then, you know, publishing takes a long time, especially self-publishing, and by the time the next books came out, I just didn't buy them, and now it's been so long that I don't remember the plot of this book. So I would really like to reread it and then get the other books and read them also. But I'm not going to do that immediately because I'm not buying more books right now, so this is just one that I've been thinking about a lot lately, and again, would love to reread and just refresh myself on, but I won't be doing that for a little while. But it was a really, really good, like, young adult dystopian found family type book. So if you're interested in that at all, check it out. Dystopian novel with, like, a ranked society and our main characters from, like, the lowest of that rank. And, yeah, you just follow, like, her journey. So really good. Really, I remember it being really well written and the characters being, like, really well developed and like immersive kind of, so I would like to give it another go, but it'll have to wait for a while. These next two, I know I've talked about on my channel before, but I don't think I talk about them enough, and that is Viral Nation and Rebel Nation. So these two books, I really loved when I read them. I guess I probably picked them up in a thrift store, as I do with, you know, 90% of my books. I just see like a cool cover and maybe read the back cover and think, you know, I might read at some point, and so then I pick them up. I have such a love-hate relationship with these books because they're part of an unfinished trilogy. And I raced through these two books. Like, I had such a good time. If you couldn't tell, they're like dystopian sci-fi. There's time travel in them, which I hadn't read a lot of books with time travel before these. I still haven't read a lot of books with time travel. I don't know what I'm talking about. Mostly, the only one I can really think of is 11/22/63. Is that what it's called? Did I get that right? Yes. I have to double check every time that I've got the numbers right. But 11/22/63 is like the only other major time travel book I've read. And time travel is not like a huge part of these books. It kind of is, but it's also not like the main focus, which I thought was really interesting too. I felt like it was really well done and made sense. And it's so cool. I feel like there was a really unique main character in this. And like, I mean, she's got this sidekick. She's got a dog sidekick, which was fun too. I don't usually care too much about animal sidekicks, but I just felt like it was done really well in this book, and like the dog served a major purpose. And I loved these two books so much. I couldn't tell you like the main plot line of them anymore. I really don't remember. It's been so long. But I remember racing through them and loving them, and then looking for the third book and finding out that there isn't one. And I don't know why not. I don't know if like the publishing company decided not to go through with the contract, you know, or there wasn't a contract and the publishing company decided like, no, they didn't get enough traction, we're not going to publish it, or maybe the author just didn't want to write it, or I don't know. I don't know what happened, but I really want that third book. So I really want to reread these and see, first of all, are they as good as I'm remembering, or did I just read them at the right time? But I'm scared to reread them because I don't want to get to the middle again and not be able to finish. Like, it's an unfinished story and you don't know what happens. I mean, I guess I could like make some guesses and hypotheses, but it's not the same. Like, I want to know what the author intended, and I want to know how the story ends. And I always want to message the author and just be like, hey, did you ever write like a first draft for the next book? Is there any way I could get my hands on it? Like, can I read the last book? Did I say first book? I don't know. Last book. Anyway, okay. I'm getting like way off track. But that's why I have such a love-hate relationship with these, because again, I just remember really loving them. And this was also like the first dystopian that I liked, because usually I read dystopian and like don't love it. I did really like The Hunger Games, so that was great, but like I hated The Maze Runner. And I feel like I'd read a couple other dystopian stories that I just was not super in love with. And then I read this one and really, really loved it and never got to finish it. So I'm still upset about that. To this day. I also read them like probably almost 10 years ago, maybe 5 years ago. 5 to 10 years ago. So again, they might not hold up as well as I thought, or I might just not appreciate them as much, but they do have a very fond place in my memory, and I really want to revisit them. I want to see if I still love them so much. Okay, I'm gonna stop rambling. This is turning into a longer video than I thought it was gonna be, which is good, but also just kind of surprising. I thought this was going to be like really quick, and I'm trying to fill it out a little bit, and I feel like it's working. Anyway, okay, we're jumping all over the place for genres. I didn't organize these books, I just pulled them off the shelf. So the next one is Moby Dick, and I want to reread this one, but I don't want to reread it in its entirety. If you have read Moby Dick, or if you know a little bit about it, you might know that there's a good section of this book that is just talking about whaling, and it's basically, it turns into a nonfiction educational book partway through. And there's just a good chunk that is everything you need to know about whaling, which I don't need to know. And I don't really care all that much. It doesn't matter to me, and it doesn't matter that much to the story. I feel like Herman Melville was just really into whaling and thought, you know, he has to share all of this knowledge that he's gotten, that he's acquired. And I don't care. So I've really loved the book. I loved the narrator, Ishmael. Fantastic, hilarious, loved him. And I really want to read it again and like spend more time with it. I think I listened to the audiobook the first time I read it. I don't know, I might have read along. Yes, I did read along. Okay, because I annotated it. This annotation just says, okay, sir. So like, what was that about? Why was I being snarky? I don't know. But I really would love to reread it. It just intimidates me a little bit because I want to reread it without an audiobook, and that's just a little bit harder for a book that's known for being like difficult to read. And it is pretty long, but it's not like the longest. I've read some really long books, so it's not that bad. It's also just like tiny print, which makes it longer, but it's like a small book, so I don't know if that evens out at all. But it's like 540 pages, which is not the worst. It's also not like great. So this one just kind of intimidates me. But I did really like it when I read it, and I want to read it again. But I want to reread it without the audiobook, partially so that I can just like skip that section that's all about whaling that I don't care about. So this is another one that's like been on my to read again list for a while now. I think about it all the time, and I just want to like refresh my memory because there's a lot that I don't remember from it. I do remember Starbuck. That's where the coffee company Starbucks got its name, and why they're a siren is because Starbuck, the character in this book, the logo is a siren. Yeah, put that together. That was so out of order and yeah, complicated. But it's like I remember really liking the characters, and you know I'm a character reader, and like that's what I care about. So I want to reread it and like pay better attention to the characters and their motivations, and maybe just do a bit more of like a deep dive educational read with this. But that's a little bit intimidating and will take a lot of time. So I'll reread this one eventually, but I just kind of wanted to like throw it on here because I do think about it a lot. We're coming to the end, I promise, only a few more. The next one is Jane Eyre, and I want to reread this one just because I really did like it and I didn't expect to like it, and I'm so shocked that I did, and so now I want to reread it knowing that I like it, because I feel like the whole entire time I was waiting for the switch to happen where like I started hating it, and that never happened. I just really enjoyed it all the way through. And I, again, as with most of these books, I don't remember a whole lot about it. I know that like it is a romance and it's Victorian. I was reading so much Victorian literature at the time, and I want to give it another go. Especially, I think I read this in like maybe the first Victorian lit class I took, maybe the second, but I took like 3 at least in college. And I just want to like refresh myself on that knowledge and what makes a Victorian novel, and like pay attention to those things in this book. And again, give it more of like an educational type read, which I don't do often enough. I would like to get better at that. So this is another one that's on my like to read again list at some point in the near future, hopefully. I just don't really know when. And then maybe after I read this one, I will read Wuthering Heights by the other Bronte sister. That one scares me even more. Like, I thought I was going to hate this one. I'm pretty sure I will hate Wuthering Heights, but I need to give it a try, because maybe I won't. Maybe it will surprise me and I'll like it as much as Jane Eyre, but I kind of doubt it. So anyway, it's another one I want to read. It's kind of like a feel-good type book for me, sort of. Only 2 more, which is good because I think I need to wrap this up soon, because there's about to be like, we have people coming over and there's about to be noise and I need to like, you know, get out of my room. But anyway, okay, so quickly, I really want to reread Firecombe Manor. I don't know why I always want to say Firecombe. I think because I've learned a smidge of German, a very, very, very small amount of German. But every time I see IE, I want to just say E, and like vice versa. EI is pronounced I. And so I always want to say Firecombe, but it's Firecombe. The pronunciation is in the book at one point, and I think I've spent like the entire book calling it Firecombe Manor, and then got to that pronunciation, was like, oh, it's actually Firecombe. My bad. So anyway, it sounds like it's spelled. All beside the point. This is a like dual POV novel told from historical point of view in like the 1600s. Am I crazy? Okay, it doesn't tell me when. It's, oh wait, no. Oh, I'm wrong. It's not that long ago. Why did I think it was so long ago? Okay, 1933 and then more modern day, I think, are the 2 narrative views, which is very interesting. So you go back and forth switching perspectives, and the 1933 woman has written a diary, and then our woman from modern day, or like whenever this was written, modern day, because it's probably not actually now. Where is my copyright page? Hello? Do you have a copyright page? Oh my gosh, I just skipped it twice. 2015. Okay. So like 1933 and 2010s. I'm doing a very bad job at summing this up. But basically our girl in the 2010s finds this diary of Alice from the 1900s, and she starts reading it, and so we go back and forth seeing what happened in what happened in Alice's life, and then also what happened in our modern day girl's life, which I don't know her name, and I'm too lazy to look it up. It just goes back and forth. And I want to reread it because I thought that was so fascinating, and I really loved Alice's chapters. I felt like the modern day chapters were not as exciting and like riveting. They didn't really hold me as much, but I really loved Alice's chapters. But it's also so tragic. Like, I remember it being very, very tragic. And that kind of has stopped me from rereading it, but I really also enjoyed it, so I'd like to reread it. You know, there's good and bad, but can you even see the cover? Yeah, I guess so. Okay. The viewfinder's so small, it just like doesn't look like much to me. Anyway, so I would like to give this a reread at some point. I also have really fond memories of this one because I buddy read it with my mom, and not that like we had 2 separate books. We literally just used this book, and then we would take turns reading it out loud to each other. And that was so fun. It was such a fun experience, and we both really enjoyed it. Although my mom doesn't like tragedy quite as much as I sometimes do, so it was a little bit too tragic for her. I don't think that she would reread it. She just remembers it being very sad. But up until all the tragedy, we really enjoyed it. And, you know, maybe I should read this one on the tail of Jane Eyre or Wuthering Heights or something like that, because it has kind of a Victorian feel to it. It's not set in Victorian times, but at least how I'm remembering it, has a little bit of a Victorian feel. So that'd be kind of interesting to just like read them all together and see if I'm right about that or not, or like maybe I'm completely misremembering and it's not at all Victorian. But just like in the way that it's written and the way the storyline goes, to me feels Victorian. Maybe it's just because it's tragic, and a lot of Victorian books are kind of tragic, but I don't know. Yeah, another one that I would like to give a reread at some point. And by the way, before we get into the last book, this is why I keep my books. I don't keep all of them. I've been doing really well unhauling books and getting rid of books and taking them to the little free libraries and whatever. But books that I've read and I enjoyed, I like to keep because I do go back to them. I've reread a lot of books on my shelf, and I like having that option and not having to like pick it up from the library or something, which is fine. But I like having my own book and being able, oh, spoilers, and being able to like write in it. And I annotate the first time I read for a lot of my books. So it's really fun to go back and reread that same copy and see what I thought when I first read it and how I was annotating at that time in my life and just what stood out to me at that point and like how I annotated. I don't know. Like in Moby Dick, you know, all my like snarky random little comments versus nowadays when I tend to like highlight a lot more and flag things, and it's just cool. It's fun to go back through. So that's why I like to own books and I like to hold on to a lot of my books, because it's very possible that I'll go back and reread them. I've done that a lot. So anyway, just wanted to like justify this a little bit, I guess. So even if I'm not going to reread them immediately or even like in the next year, I'm hoping to live more than just like a year. So I'm hoping to get to these at some point and reread them at some point. So anyway, okay, now for the last one. This one I really, 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 really want to reread, and I don't know when I'll get to it, and I'm so tempted to take it to Virginia with me, but I might just wait and like pick it up in December because I'm coming home for Christmas. That's happening. But the last one is In the Lake of the Woods. This one I read for school. I read for, I think, our long fiction class. Probably. We read so many novels. It was so good. It's a mystery. Kind of mystery thriller, I guess. I don't know that I'm familiar enough with the thriller genre to say for sure that it's a thriller, but it's a mystery for sure. And it's written from the perspective of a like reporter, kind of, or like an article writer. Sorry, people are outside now. But somebody who's like collecting all of this information and putting together an article. And it's so cool because he doesn't know what happened. And so we, the readers, never find out what happened. And he gives a bunch of different options too. So he'll tell you like, oh, and this is what this person told me happened that night. So then you go through and you're like, okay, so that's what happened. And then a few chapters later, he'll be like, you know that thing that I said happened? Well, this other person said that it didn't. So now we're going to get their perspective. And it's so cool. It's really, really well done. And it has so many like footnotes. Oh my gosh, the footnotes are awesome in this. It's written like he's preparing an article or something. So like all the footnotes are all of his evidence and like where he heard this and who talked to him and whatever. But there's evidence chapters. So actual eyewitness type things, or like people who knew the people involved. I'm trying to, it's hard to talk about it without like giving things away. I don't remember what this is. Oh, and then he has hypothesis chapters where like this is what he thinks happened, but he doesn't know for sure. There was nobody there. There were no eyewitnesses to like the actual possible crime that was committed, which again, it's not even proven that there was a crime. It's crazy. It's so good. So well done. And I have a bunch of C's in here. I think these are for conjecture. We went through as a class and we read this and we had to mark like, what are the things that actually happened? What's the truth? What's the conjecture? Whatever. So I think all the C's are for conjecture, but I could be wrong. I'd have to reread it and find out. But I wrote, this man is unhinged. He is. There's a chapter that still lives with me. I'm just like, why was it written this way? Why was it written this way? It's crazy. Oh my gosh, this is the chapter. Anyway, so it's crazy because you never find out what happened. Nobody was there. Nobody knows what happened. Nobody knows if there was even a crime committed, which is insane. So it's just such a good book and it's such a good mystery. I don't normally like mysteries. I don't care for a whodunit type book. Like I've read a few and they never really hook me and I have to force myself to get through them. Like I don't care about a mystery. Not my kind of book. Because they usually focus so much more on the plot than on the characters. And again, I mostly care about characters. And so a whodunit is just like all about the plot and figuring it out, and I don't care. I just want to talk to the characters. And so this book is all just talking to the characters, and it's so focused on the characters and their actions and what they might have done based on the people that they've been proven to be. So you get to know the characters really well, and then you can form your own hypothesis at the end, your own conjecture for what happened, but you never actually find out if you're right. And it was so fun to go through in class, like our last time that we talked about it. Once we finished the book, we sat down and talked about it, and there are like 3 options for what happened, I think. Maybe only 2, but I think there are 3 options for what happened. And so we just, went through and said, okay, who thinks that this happened? Who thinks that this happened? Whatever. And honestly, I didn't think too hard about it, because I think for me, the joy of the book was just reading it and trying to figure out what happened and come up with it in my own mind kind of ruins that a little bit for me, because the author doesn't tell us. He doesn't want us to know. And yeah, I can conjecture and I can think and I can say, well, I think this happened, but there's not really enough evidence to say one way or another what happened in the end. And again, that kind of ruins it for me. Like I just want to read it and enjoy it and get all of this information and then know that the author didn't intend for it to be solved. So I'm not going to solve it. So I kind of abstained from our discussion. That was my take on it. I was like, I'm not just trying to be difficult, but like I honestly, I don't want to think too hard about it. Again, I don't love mysteries. That's not the point of it for me, is to solve it. The point of it was to enjoy the journey and get all of this evidence. And then, yeah, maybe say, well, I think that he would have done this, but I can see it from all of the perspectives. So I don't know. For whatever that's worth. That's kind of how I looked at this book, was just like, enjoy it and know that you're not going to know what happens. And if you want to talk with your friends and, try to figure out what happened, awesome, good for you. I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to really enjoy it. And if I have a gut feeling, then like, sure, but I don't care too much what the truth actually was. I just had such a fun time reading it. So anyway, okay, but that is the last book for this video. I highly recommend it. I really, 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 really want to reread it. Again, I might bring it with me. I'm so tempted. Yeah, this is like top of the list to be reread, but we'll see if I get to it. And I'm just going to wrap up the video here. Thank you so much for watching. I will hopefully get this edited today, maybe tomorrow. I have some time tomorrow, but today's Thursday. Video has to come out tomorrow, so I need to like get on it and actually finish it. Let me know down in the comments, do you reread or do you like to just read a book once and then move on? I know there's so many books in the world. It's like I really don't have time to reread because I want to read all of these other things. But also, if this book brought me joy at one point in my life, it'll probably bring me joy again. And sometimes I just want to know that I'm going to enjoy what I'm reading rather than taking a gamble and hoping for the best. So I love to reread, but I don't know, to each their own, I guess. Also, have you read any of these books? I would love to chat about them with you. Again, I don't remember them fully. That's another reason I love to reread, is because I don't usually remember everything. If I give myself enough space between like the last time I read a book and, rereading it or something, I'll forget so much. And so reading it again is so fun because I might know like the basic plot line or be waiting for certain scenes to happen, but I don't know when they happen or what leads up to them or what the effect is. So it's really fun to read it again and just be like, okay, I know that this is coming up, but I don't know where and I don't know why. And I just think that's so fun. It's a little bit like, now it's a jump scare. Like I'm waiting for it. I'm waiting for the jump scare. Anyway, I have so much fun rereading. But yeah, let me know if you've read any of them. I would love to chat. And I guess I will just end it there. So thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye.